Name is Paul Jean. I'm 39 years old and I was born in San Francisco, California, America. I primarily grew up in San Francisco. My dad's side of the family immigrated to America in the 70s. My mom went with him and his family. I think back in Korea at that time, economically, it wasn't very easy to progress financially. So I think they all made a decision to move out to America, my father's family. So, yeah. I don't feel like I had a strong sense of identity in America. It wasn't ingrained in me at an early age to be proud of my ethnicity. I wasn't necessarily, there wasn't any strong sense of pride in terms of my ethnicity as a child. Because my parents divorced, my father wasn't around a lot. My mother never really hung around the Korean community in San Francisco. She kind of stayed away from it, so it wasn't a predominant theme in the house. And although my dad was very proud of being Korean, and he would try to ingrain that in me, that was maybe once every 2 weeks, when I would go see him because of the custody laws. So I think, in a sense, I feel like I was ashamed of being Korean. There wasn't any self-awareness of different ethnicities in elementary school, starting elementary school. All the TV shows are all American. Everything is spoken in English. So I never felt an attachment to learning Korean. There's no urgency to ingrain Korean pride in me. So I'm just growing up as a normal kid without any thought of different ethnicities in America. And I think the very first time I became aware of the differences of ethnicities was when I went to school one day and the riots were going on in LA. I didn't even know what it was. But when I get to school, my best friends who are white and Chinese, they're like, "What's wrong with you Koreans?" Like I had no context for where that question came from, being as young as I was and being so naive to the world, to the real world. So I think that was the very first awareness I had of, okay, we're different. It was a different generation. It was a different time in the sense that Korean culture wasn't popular like it is now, which is crazy, right? Everything was Japanese cars and Japanese technology. So growing up in that time period, I never had a strong sense of identity. And I have very low self-esteem in America. I started becoming more aware of myself and the world at large towards the end of university, where I started reading a lot more and I started being more inquisitive and started kind of stepping out of mainstream media for whatever reason. I started getting into philosophy and psychology and just the history of religion, just all that stuff. That was just very interesting to me. I was so fascinated by different ways of thinking. And then coming to Korea for many different factors, I grew over the years to become secure in myself and be proud of being Korean. It's just, I never really thought about myself too much and consider myself as anything in America. I came to Korea in 2006. I was 26 at the time, I believe. It was just, I was working at a restaurant, was making a lot of money, just barely getting by, and it just seemed like a good opportunity. Like, okay, they're paying for the airfare, they're gonna pay for your room and board. Why not? I'm not doing anything else in America right now. And I was kind of lost in my life, kind of quote unquote, the existential feeling of not knowing where I'm going in life. So I was like, there's nothing to lose at that point. The big question for me was, what do I want to do with my life? Like, a common sentence that I would type into Google was like, how do you find purpose in life? I was like in that period of my life. I was young. I had no direction. I didn't have any sense of identity. Very low self-esteem. Just broken up with my girlfriend. It was just like this, there's nothing else to do at this point. Like, let's just go. It didn't change for the first, I would say, 7 years. Because even though now everybody was Korean, I was still the Korean American. I was still the gyopo. In that sense, I identified probably more as being an American for those first 7 years, or the Korean American. And I still feel like, although it wasn't as strong probably as it was in the States, I still kind of felt like I didn't have a strong sense of identity yet. There were certain things that I appreciated, of course, because it was the culture that my parents had come from. And this is like kind of our culture. So I guess it was better than as it was in America. But I still didn't get a strong sense of an identity until, I mean, frankly speaking, until I started training in Jiu Jitsu. I was always interested in self-defense. I think a lot of my friends in college, a lot of the guys that I looked up to, they knew how to fight. You know, they'd probably be in brawls and just, they were very manly men, but I wasn't like that. That's why I kind of looked up to them. So I always knew, and even before I started training, I had read a lot of books on masculinity in the sense of what it means to be a healthy, masculine individual psychologically. And it's a deep topic, but I think men psychologically, stereotypically, we go through these phases in our life. We think what it means to be a man is to be able to have a lot of girlfriends or to be able to fight. And I guess it was a phase in my life where I really felt deficient at not knowing how to protect myself. What's beautiful for me about jiu-jitsu and training, and probably any combat sport, is my first 7 years in Korea. Another thing that goes back to still me feeling like an American was whenever you meet a Korean, it's like, oh, you're Korean American. Oh, you speak English. Oh, this and that. There's that same dialogue, and they look at you in a different way. And I think for that same reason, I think a lot of Korean Americans or Korean Canadians, we're very arrogant when we come here, you know, because I mean, America is America, and we're American, and we think this and that. You know, when people would say you should learn Korean because you're in Korea, I used to hate hearing that. But in the gym, nobody cares that I'm Korean American. They don't give a shit that I'm Korean American. Can you train? Are you respectful? Do you have manners? Are you committed? How good are you on the mats? Oh, you're a blue belt. Or you're a purple. Okay, that's all they care about. On top of that, at least for me, because I am Korean, they expect me to follow the language system. Like there's no I can't use ignorance as an excuse. They'll correct me immediately. That kind of really forced me to really, really understand the nuances of the culture, really take the Asian into account, really address people how I'm supposed to address people by hyung or whatever. Yeah, not just be the arrogant American, you know. So I think, and just over the years of training, I've been training for 8 years now, it's just like that really kind of filled in a sense of identity for me. I'm very comfortable with who I am now. Very comfortable at looking at myself in the past and not being ashamed. And I attribute that to a lot, most of it probably, I mean, I did a lot of studying, a lot of reading on psychology and self-esteem, but there's nothing like getting all sweaty and wrestling with a bunch of dudes, you know? Like, you can read all you want about like psychological development and masculinity, but it's until you start doing things in life, really being active, whether it's climbing or just whatever, just doing active things that make you feel good, then you start, you know, growing and maturing. And I think that's what that helped me to do. It helped me to be a lot more social. There's this weird camaraderie that develops after you train with people, especially when you wrestle with people. Even if they smash me, it's like, you're just so like, you just lost all this energy. And I don't know, I think it's a weird phenomenon that people who train, like, they 100% understand. Yeah, I think it just keeps me grounded and keeps me striving always. My name is Paul, and this is my Korean American story.